warm welcome to all of you for this global summit on advanced technologies, law, ethics, and governance. Today is the third and final day of this, wonderful event, and I would like to introduce our chair and co-chair, Mr. Professor Dr. Gurudat Chilkunda, is a renowned law academician with 40 plus years of teaching experience in constitutional law, gender laws, and social transformation. He's been former vice chancellor, principal, and is a director at prestigious institutions. He's passionate in shaping legal education and nurturing future law leaders. And also, I would like to introduce our co-chair, Mr. Jyoti Prakash Das. He is a Special Secretary, Ministry of Defense, and Head National Defense Academy Production, a thought leader and driving innovation in policy, tech, and leadership. Welcome, sir, for today's session. Let us have Dr. Manish Singhvi to speak on jurisprudence challenges before the courts due to introduction of artificial intelligence. Sir, welcome.
Respected Chair, Co-Chair, Dasji, and participants and respected delegates. Now, I am basically by professional a advocate, and my remit would be the introduction of technology called AI and its impact on law. Now, law has three aspects. One is legislature, that is how do you make laws. And so we had a lot of deliberation yesterday also that we must have a robust regulatory framework for any technology. Now, whenever a new technology is introduced, there was one Judge Easterbrook who said a very interesting phenomenon. He said this is what is when first time horse was introduced, then whether should we change the law or we should go ahead with whatever the existing paradigm is. So whenever a new technology is introduced, law always lags behind. How does law respond? One is, as I told, robust legal framework by law making body, that is legislature. Legislature is accused in India of making too many laws, but I'm afraid to say, as far as the AI or the internet is concerned, or data protection is concerned, our legislature has been very lax. It should be more proactive in meeting the requirements of framing laws. Second is, of course, enforcement, which is done by the executive. Herein, I think persons like cybercrime also comes to the fore. How does police investigate and enforce? And the third and most aspect is the courts, for which I would like to emphasize, and my address would be largely concerned with the courts. Now, as far as the courts are concerned, courts basically interpret the law. But now what happens is if the legislature do not make the law, and if certain fundamental rights of citizens are infringed, then how does the court respond? At least in Indian jurisprudence, what we see is that the courts have responded by filling the gap vacuum. There is a vacuum, legislative vacuum, the rights are infringed. For example, 9 judges bench, the Constitution bench of Supreme Court of India, which is the highest court in India, has stated that right to privacy is a fundamental right. Now, Data Protection Act came very late, it has come very recently. Still, it is inadequate. Suppose a person's fundamental right is infringed, then what do we do? Law is inadequate, is inadequate rather. Then what does it do? He can come directly to courts and invoke what we call as writ jurisdiction, infringement of fundamental right, and seek remedy. Now, that is what is a very important part of our jurisprudence, that the courts come to the fore for infringement of fundamental rights, even there are no statutory law in effect. So that is basically enforcement of fundamental rights by courts. The second and most important aspect is that the writ jurisdiction is normally issued against the state, a body, the state or instrumentality of the state or something. But what happens is that if we see the growth of AI, then the artificial intelligence is concentrated in big tech companies. It is a huge concentration of algorithm power or whatever processing power, or the entire AI is now spearheaded by few big tech companies. It is not the state which is doing it. It is the private entities, sometimes which are not even within the jurisdiction of India or within jurisdiction of any state, which is doing the entire spearheading or entire work of the AI. How do the AI come within the legal framework of our constitutional rights, especially enforcement of fundamental rights? Now that is a very important feature, because normally it is vertical. A citizen comes to the state and say, state has infringed my rights. How does a citizen or a corporation come to the court and say, see, my fundamental right is infringed, please enforce it? Therefore, now the new jurisprudence, which has some green shoots are there in the form of MC Mehta. In 1986, there was a landmark case of MC Mehta, which stated that, see, if there is even a private entity which infringes, which pollutes the environment and thereby damages the well-being of a citizen, he can also have access to the constitutional courts. Now that is a very landmark case, and since then there have been some instances, but this vertical aspect of man versus state has to now spread to man versus the big tech companies or any corporate entity. Now this is a very important jurisprudence which I think in the years to come the country will see. The second important aspect is that whenever there is a march of law, it impacts human beings, geographies, demographics in a very uneven manner. Now that is the hallmark of any technology. Technology is considered to be neutral, but its impact is highly uneven, it is differentiated, and sometimes it leads to a lot of discrimination bias. I'll give you an example. You see, if you see any AI literature, AI is nothing but data. Whatever you feed, it processes, it is agentic, it is self-generative, but it is still, there is one important limitation, that is what you feed, what is in the algorithm, what is in the machine. Machine learning would only come what is fed in the machine. It can analyze at an enlightening speed, but it cannot go beyond what is fed in the machines. Machine learning or large language models always depend upon what is being ultimately fed or what is there in the machine. Now what happens is that whatever you feed may have whatever is in the society, whatever individual things, whatever the data is available, if it has inherent biases, it has inherent discriminations, then it gets further amplified in the AI. Therefore, the very important aspect is that when we use AI, there is inherent biases, skewed results, impacts, which sometimes marginalizes the already disadvantaged sections of the society. Here I am not talking of digital divide. I am talking of the inherent biases in the entire process of the AI. Therefore, very important aspect, which is Article 14 of our Constitution, which also not only has the equality before law, but equal protection of laws. It means that we should have anti-discrimination, you should not have any bias, you should not have any kind of predilections. Therefore, this again Article 14 will be invoked whenever a citizen would be aggrieved by inherent biases which are inherent in any AI. AI by nature so far has not been able to remove that. Maybe in the years to come it will do that, but it will require a robust court interference on the template of Article 14, that is equal protection of laws. Now that would be again a very emerging field in our constitutional jurisprudence, that you have judgments which are based on that you do not discriminate between persons who are otherwise disadvantaged. This is the second very important aspect which we have to deal in our constitutional law. The third aspect which we have deliberated in some ways is about in civil law what is known as copyrights. So far, human intelligence was considered to be very unique. And there was no as such challenge to human being intelligence. Of all the Homo sapiens was considered as the Homo intelligent. That is, you are the intelligent person, so you can rule the planet Earth. But now it is under challenge. Who is challenging it? A person or a identity or an entity which has been created by the human being itself, that is the AI. So now when you have this kind of competition from the AI itself, then how you deal with it? Now that's a very important aspect in copyright law, because in copyright law what happens is that a person is incentivized to innovate, but here the innovator is different person. It is the AI. So can AI be also, AI is a separate entity be considered who can innovate on its own, or there will be some person who will own that whatever the AI does will be also owned by the person who has originally created the AI. Those are the very issues which will again be very, what is known as double bind in the copyright law, which we'll have to address. And here also comes a very important, which Mr. Tori yesterday also point, who is responsible. Now, this is very important, the very premise of any law is intent. You must have the right intentions. If you have the right intentions, you can get away with many of the offenses which are otherwise punishable in law. So if AI is created, we all know, with the best of intentions, but if suppose it goes awry, it goes deviate itself on its own, then what happens? How do you fasten the liability? Who will bear the liability? A person will say that, okay, I created AI at some point of time and never failed, and he could not have imagined really that it would go that far and create so much damage or harm. Then who will bear the liability? How the liability has to be fastened, even if it is a doctrine of strict liability, has to be fastened. This is a very difficult or critical thing in AI, which will determine the contours of our future litigation. Whom to fasten the liability? Because the very fact, like we can always invoke that MC Mehta principle, which was based on further strict liability. The moment that you set up an industry, if it leads to any hazardous impact on the citizens or the society, then you are liable. So can we say that the big tech companies or who are spearheading, because all the AI is very energy intensive, it is very capital intensive, and we have to see to it that these other companies will have to share the liability of anything which causes harm. We do not know at what extent it will cause the harm. So therefore, this is again a very important aspect which we will have to consider, and this will be again the very future of our this thing. I'll just wrap it up in 1 minute. But so therefore, the submission is that the future of our jurisprudence will have the same challenges, and which will have the same new tools have to be invented, of course based on old templates. But this disruption is not only in the technology. Out of box thinking has to be in the law also. And we see there has been one major disruption in our jurisprudence, that was public interest litigation. It changed the landscape of our governance, of our entire how we live. The kind of impact PIL has on our lives is not, it cannot be put in words even, it has to be seen in action. Therefore, I think the second disruption would happen in courts because of the introduction of the AI, and sometimes the legislative and executive inertia have not been able to do so. Thanks a lot for giving a time. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to invite Professor Roona Mehta ma'am for her session.
Good morning to one and all present here. Respected chair, co-chair and deputy is present here. So my topic today is the challenges posed by AI on doctrine of separation of powers and the accountability in the governance. I will start with the independence era, that is 1947. When we were independent, rather before that, we thought of making constitution, and the constitution was made for the purpose that we will come out of the slavery. So under Indian constitution, important principles they were added, and most importantly, as sir said, that fundamental rights they were there. In addition to fundamental rights, different principles were that basic structure, as we have heard of Keshwanand Bharti case, basic structure of the constitution that cannot be changed, and doctrine of separation of power is most important under that. So doctrine of separation of powers means as per the provisions of constitution, as we see article 50 is there, different articles are there. So under article 50, the legislature has been given the power to legislate, to make laws. And here if we talk about legislature, we have sent our representatives to the legislature, that is Vidhan Sabha or maybe the parliament, and these people they are there to make laws. And with the growth of AI, these legislatures which we have sent, they are not in a position to understand AI, what AI is, and what kinds of laws they are to be needed for tackling the problem. So these legislatures, when they are not aware, how we can expect that what kinds of laws they can make for us. So AI is to be a part of the knowledge for them, only then they can say, or they can make laws as per the legitimate expectation. So our legitimate expectation for which we have delegated our powers to the legislatures, I don't think they can meet with the legitimate expectations. So another thing is that if at all they are making law, it is very slow, they cannot cope up with the time and the change in the technology. Yesterday also we were discussing that technology is moving fast and they cannot make the laws, and because they are facing all these problems, so they will shift their responsibility to the executive. And when we say article 74 is there, 75 is there, so if at all we have council of ministers, the responsibility is fixed on council of ministers. Council of ministers, they are responsible, answerable to the Lok Sabha as per the provisions of the constitution. But when they are not in a position to understand what is the legitimate expectation, how they can fulfill the desires of the people, so these powers they are delegated. Although powers they can be delegated, as we have heard of the Re-Delhi laws case, but the delegation of the powers is to be should not be excessive delegation of powers, but here there are possibilities of excessive delegation of powers. So the basic principles of separation of powers, they have been disturbed. Then when we come to the executive, they are implementing laws. So before implementation, definitely they have to frame the policies, etc. For making policies, they are not understanding the problems because human connect is not there. If we have expectation, legitimate expectations, human connect in the laws is not there. We are working like machines. So we have forgot whether we are humans or we are robots. If we go through the morning routines or throughout the day routines, we work like machines, and our minds that they are working like machines only. Whatever is feeded there, we work as per that particular feeding. We don't apply our own mind. So this AI has made us like robots. So when excessive AI is used by the executive, the administrators, then definitely we cannot expect that it is a kind of democracy, because in democracy we don't talk about the algorithms. So in democracy, whatever data is fed, that data is not human data. Particularly, we are not sure whether that data is the true data or that is a different data. And when we talk about the judiciary, so judiciary is for implementation of laws. Judiciary is not well aware about the AI technology, what kind of algorithm is there, what kind of data has been fed, what is the outcome. Judiciary is not aware about that. So when exercise of powers are with the judiciary, or they exercise the discretion, then what factors they are to be taken into consideration. And we have a lot many cases is now that judiciary is also using AI, but to what extent? So here, what I want to say is that we talk about the basic principles of reasonableness. We have seen the case of Menka Gandhi. Menka Gandhi is that there should be the procedure, it should be just, fair and reasonable. So who is determining whether the procedure is just, fair and reasonable? We are not aware about that, because that expectation cannot be from the AI, just, fair and reasonable. So human beings can think about it. And when we talk about application of laws or making of laws, the AI is mostly making the uniform laws. And if the laws are uniform, then definitely arbitrariness increases. So exercise of discretionary powers, they also change. For example, pardoning powers, they are to be exercised by the president, and president exercise the pardoning powers. And how he exercise the pardoning powers? Will he take the help of AI or humans? What kinds of feelings they are involved? So all these problems are now becoming problems for the basic structure, problems for the basic principles which we follow till today. We talk about the responsibility, accountability. Whose accountability? If fundamental rights are infringed, and we talk about Article 32, we have Article 32 and we have Article 226, where are we going? We are going to a particular court where these judges, they don't have the knowledge of AI. What kinds of rights are infringed, how they are infringed, what is the cause? So they are not aware about the causes, because without the knowledge of AI, the causes they cannot be determined. So what is the expectation that what kinds of decisions they will give us? So that is all from my side. So thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Otherwise, I pose a question. What I find interesting that you have a separation of the power between executive, judiciary, and legislature. But everywhere, the law is being drafted by AI. The administrative decisions, welfare decisions, are also made by administrator by AI. Enforcement is done by predictive policing is done by AI.
Yes.
And judgment also a little bit of some kind of thing is there. So is it that AI is becoming the fourth government of the fourth wing of the government? Because AI is everywhere. We cannot separate.
Sir, I think.
My question is that should you have an algorithmic accountability law?
Sir, actually, when we talk about democracy and the data, we should be sure what kind of data we are feeding. We are not sure about the data. Algorithm will work after that. So whatever data we are giving them, that is uniform. And being human being, we cannot talk about uniformity in every situation. So they are AI is operating like a single king, and that AI is exercising the powers of the legislature, executive, and the judiciary. So separation of power, what is the basic principle of the constitution, that is being affected a lot.
Okay. Quick question about that regarding people don't have the knowledge, always can be addressed by capacity building. We cannot take the excuse that judges don't have the knowledge.
Sir, if at all they have the knowledge, how will they, if at all they have the knowledge?
The answer. That's what the capacity.
So till the capacity is built, before that their rights are affected.
Okay, I have a comment only, which is more or less like a teaser for you, based upon what you spoke. It's a very fascinating postulation of AI impacting the separation of powers. So number one, you spoke about the legislation, where the underlying rationality in your argument was that there is a trust in human rationality which prompts us to choose representatives and trust in their rationality. We are not trusting the machines when we send people over there. And also we believe in the potential of representation. You believe that this has been challenged by the intervention of artificial intelligence. Yes. Second, you spoke about executive, which originally should have exercised their power in the imaginative spaces which the Constitution gives to the executive. The faculty of reason cannot be compromised there by a machine. Third point, you spoke about the judiciary. Judiciary has the privilege of speech, which legislature and executive don't have. Judiciary speaks, judiciary contextualizes, and it is here actually judiciary takes over legislature and executive because the human comes to speak in the judicial spaces. But you are apprehensive that when AI takes over these spaces, particularities would be lost.
Yes.
There is something called essential subjectivity which shall be present in every judicial decision, which will be lost. That means that decisions cannot be made based upon patterns.
Yes.
Decisions should be made based upon rationality,
Right.
not by algorithms, but probably by the rhythms of the heart. Now my
Yes.
teaser comes here. Why not we see AI as an external projection of human subconscious, an external projection of human rationality, that there is an inherent connect between human mind and the AI? Why do we be so skeptical about something as amazing as an artificial intelligence?
So I am talking about the present situation. Later on, maybe it is like that, but presently, we are humans, and our rights are being affected, and we are not in a position to make any person accountable for that. So, if we are using AI, accountability should go. We are growing with the AI. The growth of AI and the accountability in the governance is not same. So, if at all we want to use AI, I am not against using of AI, but what about accountability? It should run side by side. That is my problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Srijit from Jindal Global University will take up his presentation next. Welcome, sir.
That's great to hear. Good morning. I must first of all confess I'm absolutely not an expert. I'm a filler. Because of the time gap, I've been asked to speak. So what I speak may sound pedestrian and probably amateurish. So with that caveat, but I've written down something so that I maintain the time. This may sound, as I said, very pedestrian, but this is also a sort of a teaser that I'm presenting before all the experts from where probably conversations could move forward. And I must confess before that, what I'm going to read now, no algorithm has been harmed in the preparation of this speech. These days you need these caveats. So I've named it Technology as Revealing, Technology as Contentment, a critique of capitalism, self-reproduction, and reframing. The biggest question is that, the predominant sentiment is a question whether technology is a friend or a foe. Is it a monster or an archangel? Perceptions are deeply divided here about it's a friend or a foe, or it's an angel or a monster. But what I submit is a kind of a manifesto whereby we probably could change our own perceptions. Permit me please to read a little lengthy critique on capitalism before I follow on the role of technology therein. But I'm going to present technology as a kind of a protagonist in this scheme of things, rather than as something we should keep away from. Would there ever be an amendment or edit to capitalism? Given its autopoietic and self-propagating properties, that transformative likelihood can only be but fictional. But a self-reproducing thing like capitalism can be upset by human self-acceptance, what we call contentment, a powerful influence to emotional equilibrium. Historically and psychologically, contentment has been associated with Stoicism. But Stoicism often takes sides with pacifism, despite its equanimous grace. Ever since humanity has started to think systematically for the last 8,000 years of its existence. At some point in this evolution, technology joined our journey. Rather, we invented it, though soon it would betray us by taking sides with wealth mobility. This ought not to be the case. Technology is a common good. By way of a recovery of the lost ontology of technology, an erosion that sadly happened through a rather uncanny imaginal move, I assert that technology and human are not antithetical to each other. Rather, one is a material projection of the other, a scheme in which technology is the external psyche and subconscious of the human, and that technology can fetch human contentment against the forces of material gluttony. Capitalism, the dominant mode of production in our time, is a multiplier of wealth and opportunities. So much the merrier. Abundance, profusion, opulence, and pomp, fashionably we call development. But on the distribution department, capitalism knows no distributional ethics, each according to his contribution for the working class and disproportionate reward to the capitalist. In the accumulation of wealth, capitalism holds the values of inclusion, equal opportunity of participation dearly. But in the distribution of wealth, capitalism follows the practice of concentration of wealth. The philosophy of distribution is primarily based on class. The philosophy of distribution is class-based. Of course, not discounting the munificence of state practice as salvaging balm on the social ache. So continuous accumulation of wealth becomes irresistible that it channelizes human potential to predetermined, contrived and conniving ways, substantially limiting the possibilities of human self-actualization. This leaves the human being, otherwise the basic and the most divine constituent of the universe, high and dry, resourcefully shriveled, intellectually famished and spiritually deprived. The inherently valuable human being in whose consciousness lies millions of micro atoms becomes a desiring machine, a body without mind. Deleuze and Guattari, in their magnum opus Anti-Oedipus, assert that human beings are plugged into capital flows and other desiring machines to make a network of desiring machines. They madly produce in large scale, devoid of any connection to their immanent transcendent. A critique of capitalism is not significant in this scheme of things. It has been well articulated by the prophet of socialism, the architect of Marxism, the Moore, and all the postmodern battalion of French and German enlightenment waxed vehement and eloquent on this. But I'm anxious as a being and a social subject about the collective destiny. Where shall we stop? What can fetch us contentment? Don't we deserve dignity as human beings beyond our being desiring and producing machines? As Matthew Arnold lamented in his Dover Beach, the sea of faith was once at the full, and it lay like the folds of bright girdle fertile. But now I only hear its melancholy, long withdrawing roar. Philosophers have prescribed the remedies of contentment for this loss of meaning that can end the empty desire of mobility, although the collective human will carry on with the madness of production for a while, but it shall also pass. The conventional remedies include religion, spirituality, and ideology, mostly schemes of social withdrawals, asceticism or hermeticism, or tranquilizers like ideologies, rather than contentment. Contentment is human flourishing, the Aristotelian eudaimonia. But Thomas L. Carson cautioned eudaimonia is not inclusive, that human flourishing is solely contentment, yet contentment is the rudiment to eudaimonia. Ironically, eudaimonia too triggers desire. The desire for a Nietzschean self-overcoming, a desire for a shift from the last man to the Ubermensch. Since desire has already been villainized by us as madness for wealth, desire in eudaimonia begs for a diametric placement. In Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics, desire is the subtle energy that propels human being towards their goals. In Aristotle's scheme of things, desire is a rational activity within the functions of man, and the better man is at his rational activity, the easier the self-overcoming will be for him, the nearer the eudaimonia. Sorry for the very long prolegomenon. Here I bring technology. It is here that technology make an imperious entry. Here I make technology enter as the rational activity in the functions of man. It's not easy to transform a candidate like technology, already co-opted as a mechanistic assemblage, and that's tightly plugged into the capital flows, to the human means leading to eudaimonia. Dominant perceptions have been unkind to technology, besmirching it as a rational thing, at times as an activity that propels efficiency, control, and production in the madness of mobility of wealth. This perception, despite my caveat of unkindness, is not false per se, and writes Wallace C. Patterson, technology manifests itself in the relationship between stock and a flow. It resides in this relationship as the flow of effort into producing a capital instrument and the flow of effort into using the capital instrument over its lifetime. The said role of technology in the interoperability of capital and the process of its generation alienates technology from the masses, by which the global elites become the co-producers and users of technology. And for the masses, technology remains just a product. Rather, they are derived connivingly over to, or delivered connivingly over to technology. The masses caught in the wealth mobility are enframed by technology, as Martin Heidegger refers to a state in which human being is a standing reserve to be exploited. How technology enframes human beings, says Heidegger. Energy concealed in nature is unlocked by technology. What is unlocked is transformed. What is transformed is stored up, and what is stored up is in turn distributed, and what is distributed is switched about ever anew. Humanity is enframed through unlocking, transforming, storing, distributing, and switching, rendering them standing reserve, as I said, the reserve to be exploited. But what if we have been perceiving technology wrongly all during the human evolution? Heidegger then contrastingly says that technology is also revealing of the world before the being. If rightly approached, it is a releasement of the being. It is a redemption. It is an emancipation. Heidegger also expects the technology to change its own perceptions from being a mediating agent of parochial interest to that which can be a means of revealing sublime truths. This warrants us to explore the parallelism between technology and art. Art shows humans their essence through revealing. If not human, what else is the primary subject matter and message of art? Like art, we should make technology to reveal the human essence, not by reducing humans to utilities as it does now, but by projecting them as witnesses of truth. When technology becomes a revealing, experience of technology rises to become a meditative attitude, much like art, nature, and reflection that subsequently reveals the truth before the humans. Revelation of truth before the selves leads to contentment. From this frame of reference, technology is neither consumed nor it consumes. It reveals truth, enables the human, and advances human excellence. Where have we arrived at with all this? We are urging the first man, the capitalist, the organizer, not to make technology a tool of wealth mobility. For the combination of technology and wealth can turn the humans into a utility, a desiring machine. Then again, if technology, much like art, becomes a means of revealing, it will disclose sublime truths before humanity. Truth is a contentment factor, for it opens the beingness before the being. And truth is not withdrawal like conventional contentment factors. Rather, it is involvement, it is connection, it is participation. This is the essence of human flourishing. To conclude, what if not technology? The revelation of the universe and its constitutive potential in whole and parts can aid humanity in its flourishing. Technology is more astounding than life itself. It is the sole consolation. Thank you.
So it was very glad to hear. Nowadays, nobody talks about capitalist critique of capitalism. Everybody thinks that capitalism is now the mode of life, as the breadth is. So it was very revealing that you still have a critique in terms of capitalism. But how would you mediate between the AI, which invariably leads to concentration of wealth and power, and the distribution aspects? How should legislature should step in? They can't, because most of the AI companies are situated without, it is not within your jurisdiction. So how do you see the things evolving? No revolution can make it. Now, how do you think we should address this problem? How should we go forward, right, to reduce the concentration of wealth and of course power also, which goes with it, and infringement of human rights in the bargain? Thank you.
So what I tried to present before you with a bit of unashamed rhetoric is that we are now encountering the technology. And I saw the same anxiety which is in me, in you also, when you spoke about the anxiety of the encounter. Now from encounter, what can happen? Either that encounter can subdue us, we may become passive, or second, we can appropriate the encounter, or thirdly, we can actually surmount the enemy. Here, of course, as of now, the projection of technology is that, particularly artificial intelligence, is that we have a monster before us. We don't want to surmount the monster, but rather, why not we encounter? But the first step in the encounter is actually a conversation, which I have seen that you initiated so well, even though I just got a glimpse of your presentation. I arrived a little late. I saw that you have decided to go ahead and to engage in that dialogue. So at the moment, I think we are in the first stages of the encounter. We really do not know whether this encounter will lead to be surmounting an AI, or rather we'll be appropriating the AI. I wish it's the latter, that if we can appropriate the AI, the human connect with the AI will ever remain. What I was trying to say is that somewhere technology became, that plugging, which I spoke about, plugging to the capital flows. I think technology can be taken out. If human mind can discover if human mind is a mind which comprises of the microatoms, which has the potential for million universes in that, why not technology which is developed by this human mind be the greatest revealing before the human mind? I don't want to take a nihilistic, pessimistic nihilistic view at technology. Rather, I'm trying to be more sanguine. And the best way to sanguine is by being friendly with this. You remember Isaac Asimov's the great novel I, Robot, which he wrote in 1954, concludes by an apprehensive conversation between two scientists. They're talking to each other. Don't you think that one day the robots will take over us? And the other says that is there a time in human history when we have not been taken over? We have been taken over by religion. We have been taken over by superstitions. We have been taken over by politics. We have been taken over by ideology. Technology will never be that nasty with humans. Thank you.
Sir, I have from the Point is that I'm a student of public policy. We have been trained, and all the schools always we try to always decorate the capitalism, market economy. What the problem is that for me is that always we see that there are three actors: the state, market, and civil society. That's what the just like the balance of powers he was talking about. The entirely balance of power is maintained over here. But my question is that what we try to do, market fails, we have a market failure. Then government steps in. When the government steps in, it does more damage than the market. So we have a double market failure criterion. If capitalism is not working, communism has failed, right? What is the alternative? So that really, that's what, in case, it's very easy to critique capitalism, but is there an alternative? Number two, the only good thing what has happened, reverse globalization is happening right now. Everybody trying to self-sufficient. Everybody is want to develop their own technology, just like China, challenging with the deep seek, and they are coming with the challenging US hegemony in the technological domain. People can go very leap up very fast, and technology is one tool when they can challenge the capitalism also. Your thoughts on it?
Yeah, very, very interesting. Actually, you know that during the earliest history, the best way for humanity to socialize was war. Every day we woke up, we fought wars. That was the way to socialize. During the heights of hegemonic Cold War, science became the means of conversing with each other and proving who is better. And now, of course, technology has become that. But of course, while I critique capitalism, which has probably created a bit of an unhappy world, capitalist is a genius. Capitalist is that Nietzschean first man who realized that I have an opportunity before me to transform the world. They introduced the capitalist mode of production, that is simply perpetuate capital. It should flow across the world through the lattices it created, create no harm. And when harm is created, state will intervene to remove the harm, and it can flourish. States are part of this mode of production. There is no way out even for the states to be out of it. Even while I critique, I'm also part of that mode of production, trying to see how best I can contribute to the mobility of the capital. Alternative is an alternative mode of production. Historically, alternative mode of production can be changed only by revolutions. But you know, the problem is that all the revolutions that happened in the world, there have been revolutions in the streets, which ultimately ended up in violence and bloodshed. There has never been a time in humanity or in the human history when there was a revolution of minds. And this revolution of minds is not like a proletarian revolution that will happen at the grassroots. This revolution has to happen in the minds of the elites, those who are the decision makers, diplomats, bureaucrats, statesmen. That's the revolution we need here. If revolution can be a top-down revolution, the revolution of the elites, the revolution of these capitalists or the first men who became unhappy, probably that is the only way to transform. So idealism is the hope, I strongly believe, but idealism not in the minds of the proletarians, but idealism in the minds of the elites. But that will take a long way. But if you are interested to know about whether such a movement has begun or not, please check a beautiful book written by Professor Philip Allott, a professor of international public law in University of Cambridge. He was my opponent for my PhD. It's called Eunomia, A New Order for a New World. He gives us a blueprint of an alternative world where humans can coexist with everything, including robots. Oh, any questions? Well, I'm glad a layperson like me could provoke questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the online participants are now ready. Can we just confirm with one simple hi or hello? So that, yeah. I'd like to invite Mr. Alejandro, sir, for his wonderful presentation. So welcome.
Good morning, good evening, good night. My name is Alejandro Mandujano. I'm a GBA member, which is Global Blockchain Association, and I'm a Galterian responsible for the international communication. So today we're going to just present you the result of our research developed by the GBA both group and the Latin American Committee of Blockchain for Multi Innovation and Galter. So we're going to talk.
Your sound is echoing.
Excuse me?
You know, your sound is echoing. Probably your mobile and laptop both are on.
You can start, sir. It was problem at our end. We have sorted out.
Okay. So we're going to present about the intersection of AI persuasion and blockchain adoption, the assurance of truth. This is a vision of AI pervasive use in voters' persuasion. And we state that blockchain is a step to define democracy. The first, we're in the living era of AI, and we have an issue. AI is a tool in the beginning years, but now it's a layer. It's a very persuasive information layer. The issue that it interactivates with its fractal density, which gives them the capacity to produce candidates and voters. The conflict is that there's a spread of direct communications. In our research, what I will talk to you about later, AI sway voter intent 4 to 10 points. We discovered other messages or misinformation. That means, are they hallucinations or display messages? We discovered that AI firms are working with algorithms to third-party audits and formal verification. They don't want to prove that AI works as intended. In the recent days, there's a example, the Pentagon blocking AI used in defense. Also, the agentic AI marriage that claims that AI is for everything is not true. We discovered also that most of the AIs have no skin on the game. That means that they're developed in lab by scientists that have never just touched base with reality. That means that when you're using it in the field, it doesn't work in most of the cases. Also, we discovered that procurement a lie. It is cheap to adopt any. The truth is very expensive. Our thesis is, if it's risk, we added blockchain standard, we have the assurance of truth. So just let me move this down. Oh boy. So it's the era of AI. Let me go to the next. Oh boy. Oh, so our initial research of AI persuasion, we discovered that AI has a scale of persuasion of 1 on 1, and the persuasive dialogue is very intense. They can reach out both millions of voters at the same time using their profile and their characteristics, so they just adjust the message just to convince them. So we discovered also there's a rank context battle. That means that the RAG framework, which is retrieval augmented generation, that means who controls the data can control the narrative. So if it reads rank context, which is based with bias or lies, it can read messages. A fractal densities, AI is more persuasive when facts are augmented with facts. That means that messages can be cherry-picked, also makes comments for the favorite or the candidate, or strip out of context to just to go against the candidate. In any case, they're the really original message. So we discovered, we did 5 different solutions. The first one is content authenticity and provenance. The risk is AI fabricates both claims, and they can develop exactly identical official statements, but dealing with false claims. The blockchain fixes digital watermarking and proof of origin. Scott Stornetta, which is one of the developers or designers of inverters of blockchain, he developed in 2024 a solution that works like this. Well, how does it work? Well, we paint our blockchain and ping the statements to verify their originality. If the message just matches the cryptographic signature. The blockchain, it's if no signature is the statement is flagged as unverified. And it just send that message to the voter. The solution number 2 is immutable fact-checking trails. The risk is AI agents omit inconvenient content on purpose. They can derail the candidate's statement. And those messages are aimed to just to move the voter position to one side or another. The blockchain fixes to the centralized truth registries. How does that work? Well, blockchain historical records are auditable data. We can automate the verification of flags. So on-chain historical data can be contradicted or altered or modified. So the voter will know if that statement is not correct, is not truth, and so in the records, it will just be flagged. The solution number 3 is incentivizing accuracy by tokenomics. Well, saying lies has financial cost. It's no deterrent to bad act, bad AI. There are no legal or financial implications against spreading false claims. So we identify that a blockchain fixes a staking mechanism. How do they work? Well, organizations must deposit legal assets, which is staking, to verify claims. A decentralized jury or a community of auditors use those flag claims. If proven a false claim, then it's marked as forfeited, and that means it is marked in the blockchain to be seen. And then automatic direct financial penalty is applied immediately for laying at scale to the candidate to the AI. Solution number 4 is transparent data pedigree. Those black box rules prepare data sets. If data sets uses a bias or false claims information, they will generate false fake answers. So the blockchain fixes implement transparent data supply chains. Or how does this work? Well, blockchain will track the pedigree of data using graphs. Auditors can identify which data set from the LLM throughout the voting life cycle. This will ensure that content is true and is not poisoned with bias or lies sources. So solution number 5, combating defects with DIDs, which is identity management. So use of work AI and bots can impersonate officials just to spreading the red message, narratives or messages. So the blockchain fixes implement centralized DIDs. How does it work? Well, voters interact with official candidate reps. But these officials have been verified with the IDs. So cryptographic IDs ensure voter is talking to an authorized campaign AI or representative. So the voter will never interact with deepfake AIs. With the approved ones. And our conclusion is, Don Tapscott mentioned last year that the new battleground for democracy is the information layer. So elections are fought in the information layer. So the solution is we need to use a framework, which is the BMM standards, which is, by the way, the only company in the world that develops blockchain standards is GBA. So we move forward from a trust me system to a verify me system. The final hint is financial fines or defakes organizations and AIs need to implement. And if that continues, we can even bring down bad candidates from the elections, discouraging them to participate in elections. So the closing thought is AI provides persuasion. The blockchain provides trust and certainty. Ensuring facts winning the election, authentic, traceable, and objective, the main purpose of blockchain. And my final comment is, you know, I was supposed to be with you guys in India, but I can do it, make it on time. So we're going to announce live there that uh, GBA and Galter are just announcing the few days a Web3 Education Research Corporate Alliance. That means that Galter Worldwide Knowledge in Law Tech will match the GBA Global Blockchain Knowledge, in which we're going to create a global research alliance to share information of law tech in all domains that we manage throughout the world. As I'm the responsible of global ops operations throughout the world, and also a governor of Galter, you will create and build a new working group that works together just to find new tech research. So thank you very much. And if you want to just know more, just connect with me. This is my QR. I just if you want, just contact me. Just can ask that information with Dr. Bandari, and it will be an honor to be with you. Thank you very much.
Hello.
For having me.
Hello.
So thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being here.
Yeah,
So namaste.
thank you.
Sir, I have a comment to Alejandro. The issue is that you have given a hypothesis. AI is equal to risk plus blockchain plus standards is equal to assurance of the truth. If I add risk to anything, risk is get amplified. It cannot be, the equation is not correct. I request to revisit. It is a function of that risk has to be unrisked. It has to be de-risked. You told about 5-6 points, you have to change the equation. Number 2 is about cherry picking. AI does cherry picking where we don't do cherry picking. Any cross examination, everybody will try to get evidence from his own side. Only the reasonability, whenever it undergoes the reasonability and the examination, then only it becomes clear. So it's unfair to always accuse AI, I believe. Let me be advocate for AI, right? Your comment, if anything, you can say it.
Hello. Hi. Is Miss Nairi online? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, ma'am, can kindly go ahead with your session.
My apologies. I'm the founder of SAFE, an infrastructure built to do one thing: verify whether the system shaping children's lives are actually safe. I'm not a professor, I don't have any titles after my name, but I'm here because I saw something that should not exist. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let's make this real for a moment. This is a composite, but every part of it is drawn from documented cases. A 13-year-old boy is online. He thinks he's talking to a young girl, his own age. The conversation moves quickly. It feels exciting. It feels private. Within minutes, he's persuaded to share an image. That moment he does, everything changes. The tone shifts, the control shifts. He's told the image will be sent to his friends, his family, his school, unless he pays. He panics. Nervous system dysregulated. Shame building. He tries to fix it. He sends, but it doesn't stop. It was never about the money. It's about control. And within hours, he believes there's no way out. And in documented cases like this, children have taken their own lives within hours on the same day. Let that sink in. The entire sequence from first contact to coercion to crisis can happen inside one platform without interruption, without detection, without any system stepping in. Now step back from that for a moment, because this isn't an isolated incident. It's a pattern. And that pattern is enabled by the way these systems are designed. Right now, the most powerful systems shaping children's lives are allowed to declare themselves safe without any independent way to prove it. Think about that in every other high-risk system. Aviation, medicine, finance, product safety. Company that builds the system does not get to certify that it's safe because we have learned, usually after the harm has occurred, that safety cannot be self-declared. It has to be independently proven. But as we all know, in the digital world, that's not true. They are self-declared. The platforms define their own standards. They build their systems, they measure the outcomes, and then they report their own compliance. That's like marking your own homework. That's not safety. That's a closed loop. And it's at scale. A closed loop doesn't just fail, it conceals failure. Over 5 billion people use these systems. Children are amongst the most active users. At the ages of 13 to 17 are the highest rate of users online. So this is not controlled exposure. This is constant download of information and exposure. In 2023, over 26,000 cases of financial sextortion of children were reported in the United States alone. In Australia, over 8,000 cases every year. That's 200 cases a day, just in Australia. So today, 200 children will report a sextortion case. And these are only the cases that we see. Which means the real number is much higher. It's not an emerging risk. This is active harm with crisis at scale. And yet there is still no independent mechanism to verify whether these systems are safe in practice. So when a platform says it's safe, that is not evidence. It's a claim. And a system that defines and verifies itself. A tick to mark my own homework. It's not accountable. Who is accountable? We've seen this before. Tobacco. Companies wrote their own evidence standards, designed so harm was difficult to prove. Opioids, safety was claimed, while dependency was engineered. And in both cases, they were allowed to define the rules of their own accountability. Now, digital platforms are following the same structural pattern that history has already shown us. So only now the scale is global and the speed is immediate. The system scales, harm appears, and it's treated as isolated. The system continues, evidence builds, then comes regulation after the damage has been caused. And we are now at that point. And what happens next? It's not a technical question, it's a decision. Because the solution already exists. Not as a theory, as a structure that has worked in every other risk domain. Independent verification, where the standard is set independently, the system is tested independently, and certification is granted independently. And no single entity controls all three. And that's what makes safety real. So I built it. An independent standard that defines harmful behavior, not just content, but patterns over time. A certification layer that verifies systems against that standard with results that can be audited and reproduced, and an implementation model that protects children and all of us. But the children are the most vulnerable. If we can protect children, we can protect humanity. Without surveillance and without storing content. The system exists. What doesn't is a requirement to use it. And if we don't require self-certification, will become the standard. Do you want self-certification to be that standard? I don't. And once that locks in, at global scale, it becomes almost impossible to reverse. Regulation is accelerating. The EU AI Act, UK Online Safety Act, Australia's E-Safety Commission. But regulation doesn't create standards. It adopts them. Which means what is set now becomes the foundation everything else is measured against. So the question is not whether we can build safer systems. We can. The question is, do we require them to provide it? Do we continue allowing systems to define and verify their own safety? Or do we apply the same standard we apply everywhere else? Independent verification. Because without it, safety is not real. It's a claim made inside a system that has no obligation to prove it. The work behind paper that I have presented here today is an honor to share, because this is not just a problem that we are observing, it's a structure that we can define. And every person in this room has the capacity and the ability to come together to set the safe council and to create the standards, like the seatbelt standard of the internet that never exists, but now is the time to make it happen. Thank you.
Okay, Madam, it's excellent presentation. My question is that certification, absolutely essential. Drug is certified, product is certified, but is it possible? Something which is manufactured is generative AI. Every time it is generating in a different way. And somebody is right now coming online, real time, it's trying to verify. It's extremely difficult. Second, that can be false positive, then can be false negatives. Again, something is that is treated is correct, it is branded as wrong. Something is wrong, that is treated as right. Then third dimension, what comes? Actually, in all this narrative, what you are finding, it is not said that, suppose I am trying to protect my child. That is not a case of, normally we call safe onset. It has shades of grey, it's not a black and white. What happens, the kind of kind of information I share, that's a shaded one, and other side exactly the safety side of it. So let us not look at it from black and white, but different shades of the gray. We have told that opium is unsafe, liquor is unsafe, still then we allow it. Some kind of a mechanism we have to come out in which we have to allow certain things, and at the same time also possibly certified it will be a wonderful thing. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll just make a brief comment on what you presented. That's an amazing scheme. I would call it, it captures the collective phenomenology of humanity in this age. What you presented, I would call it, if not a clarion call, is a manifesto for the next moment. I repeat, a manifesto for the next moment, because we perhaps live in a collective vertigo where we are trying to make big sense of the situationality. Indeterminacy prevails all over, and we live with an anxiety of the next moment. And exactly, this is a scheme which tells us about how the next moment should be lived. And you particularly said that the essential trust which we are lacking about the present moment and the anxiety about the next moment can be overcome by way of certain schemes of assurances, primarily through certifications. And children, in your scheme of things, come as those agents which lack rationality. And indeed, certificates can probably, or the type of certifications and the scheme which you presented can probably give them the essential rationality. At least you know that even though they are not rational agents, probably humanity could help them sail through this mess. So that's what I said, that this probably is a manifesto for the next moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
We had left out one Q&A session from the first presenter. Anybody was asking to any questions for him? The topic was jurisprudence challenges before the court, and that was the topic. Yeah.
I'm Mamta Roy. I am from Bangalore. I came mid-speech, so I couldn't get the entire thing, but I did have a small question when in your narrative, where you said that AI is neutral, and then you again went in the same breath said that it is going to be biased. I don't know if you can relate.
You're right. What he said was technology is considered to be neutral.
Yes. Okay.
AI per se, any technology is not, by per se is not, but the very processes of AI, because it is dependent upon inputs, etc. Suppose we have even a revolver, it is neutral. It can be used for defense, it can be used for undue aggression. But AI, by its very nature, becomes biased.
Yes.
And discriminatory. So therefore we cannot say that this AI as it is totally neutral. That was my submission.
Yes.
Technology historically, suppose you introduce horse. The first technology which was introduced according to history is the horse, which increased our speed and scale and our capability, human capability. So horse was considered as the first technological breakthrough in that sense, not wheel or something. Therefore, if we introduce any new technology, it has to be neutral. But now what is happening is AI is having lot of biases and skewed representations and differentiations. For that, and it amplifies already what is already existing in society or in polity is getting amplified in AI. That's all my submission.
My only thing is, if we are AI is going to be data based. If everybody is going to feel like if certain AI is going to be implemented, it is based on data fed to it, and then my only thing is we have to be concerned about a person who is feeding the data is not biased towards any aspect, so that the data is not being biased. I mean, that is my opinion.
Very difficult to say,
could be
because
wrong.
whatever is, you see, certain languages have not made it to the AI,
Yes.
which were very content rich. So the bias against small languages have already begun. Internet was initially only for English. So now it is for whether regional languages have come in.
Okay.
20 of them. But still many dialects are outside AI. So that inherent bias will always remain.
No, the format, I find this fundamentally dichotomy. Law is normative, what is ought to be right. AI is predictive. The point is that can we bring the two together? That's the real crux of it. One is, you see, judgment get challenged. District court, high court, Supreme Court. Not that judgments are perfectly fine. It gets challenged. So what we want, consistency we want, or we want that if you want consistency, AI is a better one, or we want the context. Both the things together has to work in future. It is not AI versus law. It is both them together. In case we can come to the solution, that is the best thing.
I
That's
think
my comment.
Very correct. I think discretion always should remain with the human. The final decision should remain with the human being. But AI is only assisting intelligence. It is not an artificial intelligence. It should be assisting. We can take help. For example, in MSCT cases, motor accident claim cases, one can use AI in a large manner because you know what are the fixed parameters on which you have to do. But when you are deciding cases which are, say, even involving human rights or fundamental rights, we cannot be dependent on AI because it is very case specific, or even criminal matters, very case specific. So we cannot rely upon AI, but we can rely upon in cases like MSCT. And I must tell, recently, yesterday only, Gujarat High Court has banned use of AI in every sphere in Gujarat High Court. They issued a circular. Now we cannot go to that. I do not know the contents of it, but we can use AI in a very selective manner. But the ultimate decision must be of a human person. So far, AI is not developed that it can take into account all the 360 aspects of 360-degree aspect of any case. So ultimate, but it can always assist us. It can always help us in framing the broad contours of law. We can know what the law is, what the features are, what the case law is, but application has to be by the by human being only.
Yeah. I just share some of my experience. I was technology we develop AI image processing for defense product. You see, 99% of the time the product pass, 1% of the time product fail. So right now you have data, most of the data for product passing, and 1% of the product failed. That fails in some 10 type of typology, and one typology has got only 0.001%. So how do I train the machine? That's the big challenge. So I don't have the sufficient data. I looked at past 15 years data. I don't find good quality. They say that 500 good quality HD images you can get to for the each defect type. I couldn't get it. It's very difficult actually. That's what it's very difficult for image processing. Anything what trying generative the sort of way other than text. You want to video pictures extremely difficult. I can tell you. Managing that technology is extremely difficult.
Correct. It all depends. I think it will evolve with over a passage of time.
I'm really sorry for hijacking this. I just wanted to let him know, just add to the conversation, saying that it would be better if we have the judges feed the AI rather than the technical staff. It would be better because they would do it as they would see it. Technical staff will still have some bias to, I don't know, this is my...
You see, administration of justice has two aspects. One is the registry.
Yes.
I don't see any reason why we should stop AI in registry, in having clubbing of the cases, etc. But as far as the judgment is concerned, which decides the case, the fate of the case, or fate of an individual or a corporate, I think human beings have to. I don't think so far we have developed so much we can replace AI with the judgment of a human being.
No, of course not. Yesterday, last Justice Mehta was talking. Justice Mehta and Justice Shah. Yes, Justice Shah was also explaining that while dealing with the criminal justice, if there is an offence which has like capital punishment and 10 years, starting from 10 years, where will AI will always say that give a capital punishment rather than 10 years.
Very true. Very true.
So yes,
so
humanity
AI
must
can never
be
be replaced. It only reinforces the argument that human decision has to be the final word.
Yes.
Human application of mind, as Mr. Shid said, on rationality, reasonableness, and on wisdom. Wisdom, I think, is the correct word.
Yes.
Then information.
The point which you raised about AI being utilized for giving decisions. Why AI will take the maximum punishment? Rather, if they analyze.
It was yesterday. I did not see.
Yeah. So my point is that will take an average one. That is the idea of AI. Because if you look at, say for example, it tracks 15 years of NDPS cases, and then how it is going to assist the judges is basically give a metrics kind of a thing. Like, okay, fine, in this particular situation, these decisions have been decided in this way. But question is that whether the judges should get influenced by that particular input.
That is why yesterday somebody raised this point, or I think Justice Govindraji, that independence of judiciary from AI.
Yes.
I think he does that point. That is that judiciary should be independent of the AI. Ultimately, must be of assisting tool. It can process better. You suppose you do calculations. You use computer calculators. Calculator was the first. At least speaking for myself, it was my first tryst with something like computer. So you can always take assistance of it, but ultimately decision must be of the concerned judge. You have better processing, you have better data.
No, my point is different. What I'm saying is that even that particular assistance, if you are looking at the past cases and seeing the precedents, or in terms of punishment or sentencing, probably you are doing injustice. This is what is my view.
Correct,
because
it has to be case specific. Criminal justice system has to be largely case specific. Every criminal case is different from another. Fact lines would be different. Then you ultimately bring out to the offences which are committed or the punishment prescribed by the statute. But criminal case, no two criminal cases can be similar. But in MSCT cases or things like that, one can use AI on a large extent to expedite the entire process.
Yeah, they are doing that in 138 cases also. 138 and MSCT, these are the routine matters where
repetition is there, AI is the best.
Okay.
Anybody there online who is yet to present? Who is there in the list and who is yet to present? The last.
Advocate Akshay Yadav, are you there, sir?
Good morning.
Can I start?
Good morning, Dr. Chandrika.
Good morning.
Hello, how are you?
Good morning.
I'm
good. Straight from the flight.
Okay. I know you are coming from Malaysia, no? China.
China.
You are come China.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have asked you to come here only.
Yeah, I was planning to come.
Yes.
This was booked 9 months before.
Aye. Please continue. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Presenter bana diye? Have you made him presenter? Have you made her as a presenter?
I don't need the presentation because I just prepared it this morning.
Okay.
I'll do extempo.
So your time starts now.
Thank
it's
you.
for 10 minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Arbitration and cultural issue is my topic. Arbitration is not universally embraced with equal enthusiasm across all cultures and jurisdictions. Different societies have adopted arbitration dramatically different degrees, reflecting their legal traditions, cultural values, institutional development, and historical experiences. Understanding these regional variations is essential to recognize the arbitration does not represent a culturally neutral dispute resolution mechanism, but rather reflect particular cultural preferences and institutional choices. Culture as defined as shared system of meaning, values, norms, beliefs, and practices that characterize distinct communities fundamentally shapes how disputes are conceptualized, negotiated, and resolved. Colombo emphasizes that international commercial arbitration must address cultural issues from a much broader perspective than typically applied in current practice. The fundamental recognition that arbitration is not culturally neutral represents the starting point for understanding contemporary challenges in international dispute resolution. Harvard reveals that many practicing arbitrators either deny the existence of cultural difference in issues, which is CDI, or proceed as if public and private law cases exist in vacuum, detached from cultural context. Despite substantial evidence that culture profoundly affects individual worldviews, understanding of law, of business norms, emotional responses, and expectations, when arbitrators from common law backgrounds enforce procedural rules designed in Western legal systems aiming to achieve technical fairness while violating fundamental beliefs of justice in other cultural contexts. The precise definition of culture within the legal arbitration context is essential to understand the concept itself. Dong says analysis of cultural roots of substantive justice versus procedural justice, revealing that Eastern and Western legal traditions maintain fundamentally different concepts of justice. Eastern legal cultures influenced by Confucian, Buddhist, or Islamic philosophy traditions. Western legal culture, on the contrary, it's particularly in common law systems, emphasize procedural justice, adherence to formal rules. These are not merely academic distinctions, they profoundly affect what parties expect from arbitration, the preparation of cases, and deciding an arbitral about a dispute. Culture in arbitration also encompasses professional culture, and arbitration as globalized. Tensions have emerged between Western dominated professional culture and the legal cultures and professional norms of arbitrators and practitioners trained in other legal systems. The common law and civil law divide is a fundamental difference in legal culture, whereas Samuel Usgado and others explicitly identify cultural and legal system differences as requiring bridge building through harmonization of common law and civil law practices in complex international commercial arbitration. Experienced international arbitrators, regardless of the nation of origin, our training apply a de facto uniform code of arbitral procedure that represents convergence around common law updates approaches. However, this convergence creates significant implications for parties and arbitrators from civil law and non-Western tradition who must adapt to procedures unfamiliar to their legal training and expectations. Three possible routes are identified for arbitrators may follow when facing different legal systems. First, arbitrators can select one jurisdiction's privilege rules as governing. Second, arbitrators can seek to identify common principle across different systems. Third, arbitrators can develop transnational approaches specifically for particular arbitration. Each approach carries advantages and disadvantages. Selecting one jurisdiction rule advantages parties from that system while disadvantaging the other jurisdiction. Uh, if I take an example of China and Laos, China's dispute resolution framework is highly institutionalized and diversified, integrating state-led mechanisms such as mediation, arbitration, and litigation, whereas Laos maintains a socially driven model that relies heavily on community-based mediation grounded in Buddhist traditions and moral reconciliation. In Middle Eastern context, arbitration appeals partly reflecting cultural and Islamic legal traditions, emphasizing informal procedures over adversarial litigation. In Asian context, arbitration appeals reflect different considerations, including its perceived greater comparability with harmony, oriented dispute resolution traditions compared to Western litigation, while still providing more formality and finality than pure mediation. So, what we are to consider is arbitrator selection and conduct and cross cultural competition, arbitrator training, professional development, and cultural competence, ethics, professional responsibility, and cultural variation in ethical standards. These are considerations as we consider to be included in arbitration training. Challenges in cross-cultural arbitration practice, mainly language and cultural misunderstanding. When arbitration proceedings are conducted in English, there is a lot of confusion for the people who cannot speak and understand English. Witness examination, one of the example where international commercial arbitration as an interdiscursive phenomenon across professional, jurisdictional, and linguistic cultural boundaries. Cultural differences exert measurable influence on how parties present the evidence and arguments, affecting the perseverance and effectiveness of submissions across culture. Communication styles themselves reflect cultural differences. Party autonomy, mandatory requirements, and cultural values of justice. There's tension between these things. For example, many jurisdictions impose mandatory employment protection rules that cannot be waived through arbitration agreements, reflecting cultural judgment that certain protections are so important that parties should not be permitted to contract away from them. Solutions: enhanced training and development of arbitrators across cultural competence, diverse and representative arbitration, institution, harmonization, and contextual adaptation rather than uniform procedures. And towards culturally intelligent international arbitration, we should follow cultural pluralism, representing not as an obstacle, but the fundamental reality within the arbitration operate. And also, effective arbitration in the 21st century requires practitioners, arbitrators, and institutes that understand and respect different legal traditions and culture. Instead of Western traditional representing universal best practices, they must embrace the complexity and richness of cultural diversity, developing arbitration systems genuinely responsive to the need and values of truly global commercial community. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I really appreciate your patience and listening to mine.
Any questions from the audience? I have just one comment I can make. Having participated in international arbitration, I find procedure is costly. People say that is fast, it's time taking, and there are, of course, there are difficulties. But only one thing: is it possible? Just like in India, we are looking at a uniform civil code. Is it possible to bring all the culture into contextual things into arbitration? It's very difficult. In case we can bring the platform together, that will be a wonderful thing. But there is no alternative. In fact, everything comes with a side effect. Everything comes with a ill. And but with all those things, arbitration is a better option than going to the court. That's what I have a comment. That's what I will like to say. You can comment on this, whatever you feel like, because you are expert in this regard. I am a novice in this regard. You can comment on this, right? You can prove me wrong.
Thank you very much, sir. The only thing I will suggest is when we introduce the courses for arbitration, unlike ethics or professional responsibility, we don't marry the cultural part into any of the courses. So in future, there should be a component which also makes some cultural understanding into arbitration courses.
Thank you, ma'am. Any other
Thank you.
participants who are online? Okay, that was a wonderful session. I'd like to invite the chair uh, to make some comments on all the presentations we had today.
Esteemed colleagues, dear friends, it is indeed a great honor to chair this session. Uh, I learnt a lot. Totally, we had 6 presentations. We started with Mr. Singhvi. We dealt a lot about AI, the technology, in jurisprudential perspective. Not only that, we covered a lot of things. Then we had Mr. Mehta, Renu Mehta, right? Yeah. Rona Mehta. In fact, even I did not imagine that AI can be brought, you can link that with SOP. I taught constitution for almost 2 decades, but I didn't think. But good, how we are thinking about that. Of course, she made extended analysis of that. Then Professor Srijit, yes sir, your perspective, your understanding, and how it facilitates facilitates capitalism, how it may help or it may adversely affect the health of the society. Beautiful, sir. I've got an excellent area for doctoral work. If any student is here who is thinking of taking up doctoral work, can work on this issue. Then we had online presentation, Mr. Alessandro. Then, of course, his perception, fine. This blockchain adoption, and he gave one formula also, that is AI is equal to risk plus blockchain, and that is very difficult, it's controversial area, but his original thinking needs a lot of appreciation. Then from Australia, Mr. Nairi, right? Nairi. As a certification, yes, and a verification. It's a very tough task. Anyway, it is also a new thinking on this. Then we had Miss Chandrika, Dr. Chandrika maybe. She threw some light on arbitration, mediation kind of things. At the outset, I would like to compliment and thank co-chair Dr. J.P. Dash sir and Dr. Srijit for their timely intervention and make the entire session focused. Focused. Sir, I got only 2 comments. Madam, 2.5 minutes done, 30 seconds remaining. Number 1, sir, if I take my own journey at the times when globalization era came, in every institution there would be a discussion, a seminar, conference. Globalization, it will take away the life of people. It will happen, that will happen, this will happen. But nothing has happened. When this IPR regime came, in all institutions, IPR, for about almost 5 to 8 years. Then ITLA, all conferences on that only. Now, you take any department. Sir, I am representing a university which has got all disciplines in academics, except agriculture. Every day there is a conference. What is that? AI. Technology, AI in this. No. If you take it positively, yes, how we are thinking. I do not know whether we are afraid of that, whether we have developed reasonable apprehension, or I do not know. But people are afraid. But I tell you one thing, to my understanding, it is like teaching a child, tiny child, it goes near fire. No, don't touch it. Don't, it's very dangerous. It is knife, don't touch it. Every time we keep telling it is dangerous, don't venture. But the child knows how to learn the thing. So only on experience. Sir, I think it is premature to assess and go for conclusive remarks on this. It is, yeah. For anything, for any reason whatsoever, nothing can replace human brain and human mind. It is like, if I can give a small example, in Purana, we read Bhasmasura. Bhasmasura took in a blessing from boon from Ishvara. If he places his hand on anyone, another reduce into ashes. Then what he did? He wanted to test on Shiva himself. But Shiva know how to teach him a lesson. We know, sir. We brain. We know elephant is 1,000 times mightier than a human being. But human being knows how to tame that elephant. This technology, if we use it positively, sure it helps. But we are facing some problem. It is also equally true. Because of over apprehension, because of over zeal, or because of over, I do not know, doing it, but time will tell. I am confident in my own life, I will see how we can positively use AI. AI is always a subservient, it can never be a master. Since yesterday, madam, it is our child. It is our child. But the thing is, it is equally true that our child goes out of our control at times. It is also a natural process. We learn through our faults. Sir, every judge shall follow rules of evidence, criminal procedural code, or on this arbitration. Which law says that one shall follow AI technology? No? It facilitates. Yes, madam, please, if you can correct me. Madam, if I have to answer, my time crosses. I think in my experiences, the real thing comes out for this during the time of interaction only. Yeah. Yes, madam, please. Me? Okay. Closer to the mic, please.
Okay. I just wanted to agree with you. In fact, all the statute says that no person, or it starts with the concept of person, and person is always group of people or individual. It does not say AI or a machine or anything of that sort.
Never, madam, never
right
AI, never AI, or in the rabot to call it,
yes.
in jurisprudential sense. Can we consider as a person? No. Even a first standard student, learning law, first LLB student, he will tell a robot is not a person.
Yes.
Problem comes when we go for fixing the vicarious responsibility, liability, or something, problem comes, that we know how to answer to those questions. We will answer, fixing the responsibility, accountability. Is it not, madam? But it is not, never. It cannot. Yes, sir, please.
I'm Dr. Ashok Jain. I'm on the other side of where you guys are. I'm a physician by profession, and I wanted to give you some anecdotal experience. When you talk about AI, it's a question of how you're going to adopt it. And I'll give you a few examples. We've talked about Watson coming with IBM $25 billion investment and trying to solve the medical problems of the world using the AI and the database and data mining. At the end of it, what $25 billion worth? They had to shut it down. Googles have spent billions of dollars in healthcare trying to diagnose patients. So if any of you have Googled any symptoms you have Googled, whether you have a headache or a leg pain, and one of the common diagnoses in every one of the Google search is cancer. Okay, so we have had a lot of patients over the years coming in with Google degrees and WhatsApp degrees and AI generated diagnosis. So at the time, we have to say, okay, if that's possible, get it treated by the AI.
Yes.
So please note that AI is here, how you take advantage of it, how you use it. So we as physicians, we do robotic surgery. So a surgeon sitting in Italy operating in America or vice versa. We can do that.
Yeah.
We have adopted that. And this is not today. I'm talking about 15 years ago, we have seen that. 20 years ago, we've done that. So we've had patients and surgeons assisting across the continent without being physically present in the continent. And we have done surgeries. And surgeries done like a robotic game. You're playing a computer game with your 5 hands and 5 fingers in mouse. And then the arms are moving. So essentially, it is, we thought medicine and physicians were behind technology. But I see attending these 2 days conferences, I think your lawyers are much more behind. Much more, way behind the legal system in adopting technology. And that's where you have a lot of these fears. Absolutely, we agree that the human, why do we call it a practice of law? Why do we call it a practice of medicine? Because medicine is all about science, it's reproducible. Anybody reads the book and anybody practices the skill can get the same results. But it's an art. It's an art which evolves over your judgment. So that is where I think the judgment we all have been talking about, individual human making that decision and the conclusion by adopting the technology to assist you to be more productive, more intelligent. And I think that's where the practice of law will always remain the practice of law, just like the practice of medicine has always stayed as a practice of medicine. I think you can't take that away.
Friends, I think we have very productive and rich deliberations in the first, second, and third day. That's the ultimate day. And at the outset, I wish to thank each and everyone for active participation, support, and our dear friend Professor Jaswal, Madam Jaswal, and everybody, Dr. Ashok Jain. I just want to raise 2 or 3 basic points for the consideration of the House. We are also adding them into our declaration, which we are going to present after your approval into the valedictory. We are working on that. Number 1, technology is moving at a very fast pace and is unstoppable. Nobody can stop it now. So the best thing is to understand it. As I said in the I think inaugural also, adopt it as we can do it. And my appeal to all those technology developers or those who are using technology for commercial purposes, the big 4 giants, mainly from USA. Please, profit is good. Profiteering is bad. Definitely you are investing billions and millions of dollars. You are expecting some return. Same is also, pardon me, Dr. Ashok Jain, and same is applicable to educational institutions, especially the private educational institutions. They spend lot of money. My friend now is in SRM. He has already run the Rajiv Gandhi National University of Law, and Madam Nishtha, who is in the State University. Earlier she was with the Himachal National Law University. So no individual aspersion, no basic issue. They create wonderful infrastructure. But when it comes to the payment of the teachers, because I am associated with so many universities and I know insights also. They pay 40,000 and they show in the record UGC pay. That is again profiteering. And similarly, excuse me, Dr. Jain, for hospitals. Less said is better. Exceptions are always there. Exceptions are always there. But the general impression is that they are also doing profiteering. Unnecessary tests. They simply know, my brother is not a very successful physician or surgeon, simply because he says, when I know it is a simple headache, why should I ask him to do CT? Because he has come for a headache in the headache हो रहा है. I know it's a headache, अब ये पैरासिटामोल ले लो, ये ले लो, जो भी है. CT कराइए, अब MRI आ गई तो MRI कराइए. And I'll give you one example. Sure. One day, one person came, by mistake, maybe due to writing of address, he said कि सर वो XYZ ने आपके लिए एनवलप भेजा है. कौन? ओपन किया 20,000 रुपीज़. बोला नो, मेरा कोई, आई डोंट नो देम. बोला सर वो आपने MRI रेफर किए थे ना, उसका कमीशन है. तो बोला सर को दे देना. मैं जानता भी नहीं इनको, ना मैंने कोई MRI रेफर किए. तो फिर उन्होंने उसको फ़ोन किया कि सर वो तो कह रहे हैं कि मैं तो जानता नहीं, मैंने तो रेफर भी नहीं किए. बोला तुम कहाँ खड़े हो? कि सब C5 इज रेजिडेंस. नो वो सी डिफरेंट नेम इज दैट, वो देना, तुम गलत जगह दे रहे हो. Now the entire story can be understood. So that is the thing we are doing, and when with the technology we are doing those things. Unnecessary, and there is no free lunch. Google is free, WhatsApp is free. No, nothing free. They are collecting huge amount of data and marketing with that. This is my one submission. And second submission, howsoever advanced technology may go, but human must be always at the center. For what you are doing, for whom you are doing. You are doing for the betterment of the human beings. So human must always be there. And third and final, regarding AI, is my view. You can disagree with me. With my limited wisdom, I am sharing my views. Whether it is anthropic or generative or AI superintelligence or AI generative intelligence, I am of the view AI superintelligence has not come from the sky. Some scientists, some technologists have created it. The best example I give is the movie robot, Rajnikant. He created the robot. He entered into the robot sensitivity, and that robot started loving his lover. So finally, he had to dismantle that robot. He registered, that robot registered a lot, but finally he dismantled that robot. So any time when that stage comes, when AI will dominate us, we will disrupt, because after all it is being controlled by some human beings in some laboratory in some manner. So I don't think we need not to be afraid of these developments. Rest, technologists can tell better. This is from a common man perspective and based on my understanding of last 7-8 years of research. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir, for giving me time.
Sir, in 2014, I conducted one conference, sir. One professor from Australia, he came and said, just 10 years, all lawyers have to shut down their offices, they have to go home. We are in 2026, sir. Number of lawyers has multiplied, sir. Sir, yeah, everything fine, sir. Thank you for the opportunity given. Sir, Bandari, sir, thank you very much. You and your team, it's a great work done, sir. and hope to meet again in 2027 also in one of the big center of India. Thank you.
Uh, Dr. Manish Singhvi sir, kindly receive your certificate. Meanwhile, we are waiting for an online participant, Ms. Vibha. She had to present her paper yesterday and she couldn't do it. So kindly I ask you for 10 minutes of your patience. We have an online presenter coming up. She's to log in. Yeah, ma'am, you've joined technical session number 10. Would you like to speak about something?
Actually, I have been listening to the speakers and the resource persons too.
Yes.
And I felt because today in the newspaper itself, I read about the AI, that how the AI can be used or to what limit it should not be used or in what ways it should be used. So, because we were discussing about the law persons, how the AI can be useful for them. So the problem that I think is basically that how do you use AI? Because it's the misuse of the AI that is creating problem. If you use AI wisely, then I think it can be a useful tool for either the lawyers or the doctor or anybody in the nation. That is my submission.
Hello, Vibha Sharma ji. You can take over the session and start. And your time limit will be 10 minutes, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. I really am missing out on something by not being physically and there amongst all of you. I know that, and I hope I'll be able to just put my things, whatever I need to say, in a couple of minutes. I'll not take longer. I hope my voice is clearer, and I would just want to share some of my slides that I have. Yeah, so I'm here only to talk about the legal education in India and the artificial intelligence, the convergence between the two and the emerging trends that are happening. So as we know that all over the world, the shift has already happened, and we are finding ourselves at one level. We are trying to go ahead of the system, and also at another level we are still trying to figure out as to how to go about it, so and how to actually bring it into the education system with the new education policy 2020 very much in place. The fact is that at the school level, the coding has already started. So we can hope that another, say, 15 to 20 years, the students that we will have better, more and better knowledge, and they'll be well equipped in dealing with all the things which are happening today. But my concern is that 15 and 20 years is such a long time for the to even understand and go ahead of AI, because it is fast changing. I have been listening to all the learned experts, and the informations that I have gathered and the knowledge that I now have, I know as to what all are the challenges. And definitely, every one of us are already aware of. I was just talking from the Indian perspective. So the progress was, we as we can see that the fast pace actually happened after the internet was introduced in our systems, and the law schools particularly started looking into the various databases available at across jurisdictions, not only in India. Indian databases were later to join the band. In fact, if I can say so, the West was already doing it, so they were already making use of databases. And in India, we are still at the level where we are looking at various websites which are offering the search options for us. Because legal education, we all know, is sort of a research. It is, of course, it comes with the very new ideas as well. But when we come down to understanding the legislation and the application of the same, search is plays a very important factor. So I'll just go to this particular aspect also, because I feel that all the efforts and all that we strive for in the legal field is towards the ideal of justice. And we all know, as one of the earlier speakers have already said, so that justice delayed is justice denied. Here, of course, artificial intelligence can be very useful for the law practitioners, for the courts, as well as the executors. We already have seen the changes that have been brought about by the Supreme Court of India, and we uh, we are expected. The law practitioners are now expected to be equipped, not only be equipped, but also be able to be an expert in this particular area, which of course will take some time, but we will be there definitely. So when we talk about the law practitioners, when we talk about the courts, and when we talk about the executors after the judgment, if they are, and also before that, during the time of investigation, etc. So all these institutions are expected to be equipped, well equipped with all the systems as well as the knowledge which is required to understand this particular system. Uh, Here, of course, AI has is already playing the role, and it is tremendous. And we are trying to streamline everything according to the needs of this uh, uh, change that has come over to all of us, in front of all of us. Now, my focus in the paper would be the large language models on which all these searches and researches are actually based. And we know that, of course, this system is based on the responses, which it bases on the responses on the text which is already available. So the previous speaker, in the session in which I was there, it was already highlighted how it can be biased, and how those things may creep in, which were there earlier, but with the changes in the society, we may still be carrying on with all those biases within our system, because the AI is actually based on those texts which are already in existence. But here, the main focus, as I can understand that everybody is concerned, is that the pace with which it generates and manipulates the languages. So now here we will really have to be very cautious before relying totally on these systems. Of course, the valuability of this artificial intelligence cannot be minimized at all. And what I found was that I did some of the study across the jurisdiction, and I realized that the universities, some of the universities, not all of them, some of the universities in the West, like in United States, in France, in United Kingdom, as well as China. So what those legal institutions actually are doing is that they are giving a hands-on experience to their students. So in the form of a course or in the form of a workshop, they already are equipping their students so that they can figure out the inherent biases which are there in the system, and also how to be innovative and create their own chat boxes if possible. So would need a scientific mind or a technological mind which is already into all these aspects. So that therefore, what uh, my mind says that the challenges in India is that, first of all, artificial intelligence is highly unreliable. Every time we have to cross check, then so therefore the dependency on it would be dangerous, and identification of hallucinations are very much necessary, because the more I read, what I find is that generally, even if they have done away with a particular kind of an hallucination, another one would it poses brings up new challenges. Therefore, the verification is a must. Inherent biases will have to be taken care of. Ethical concerns definitely are there, because whatever we are using at the moment, we don't know how the data is being used and manipulated. So, and right to information is actually very much important for all of us. So, I personally feel that here we must insist on the disclosures as to what all data is being collected, and if they are not disclosing it to us, then there need to be some action that can be taken against such institutions. And then, of course, to go beyond the legal implications, like only understanding at the moment the syllabuses that we have in our law schools are we are trying to figure out the data protection laws and the this blockchain, how to control them and all those. So we need to go beyond them, and beyond the evaluation and interpretation of the legislation, if I can say so. So the future trends in India can be, of course, the awareness, the benefits of artificial intelligence coupled with the limitations that it has, then increase in research and development programs, which are very, very, very much needed now because of the presence of artificial intelligence. Then online courses should be available either by the government sector or by the law schools, or whichever institution is actually able to guide the students, now the learners. Now here again, one challenge is a huge challenge is that the languages that is being used even by those system is English. And the part where I am situated in India, here Hindi speaking people are more. Or I have been to South also. So there, what I have, my experience has been that there the local language, people would want it to be in the local language. Even multilingual chatbots are available, but the transitions and the translations are not always reliable and correct. So then, of course, updation of the curriculum is very much necessary. The syllabus and course structures need to be changed. You just can't go on with the 6 months programs. So we need to just tailor according to the needs of the requirement of the learner. And collaboration with the specialized agencies is what I feel is a must. We just can't be there living in our cocoons. Like the first day, I had an opportunity to hear a very learned expert who said that the legal aid clinics cannot continue to be existing in on different islands, and we need to collaborate. So my submission is it is not only in the area of legal aid, we need to collaborate even if we really want to know how these artificial intelligence things are happening, and how to go about dealing with the technology which is happening at the moment. With this, I really am very grateful to all of you for giving me the opportunity. I missed presenting my paper the first time. Thank you so very much, sir, and thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, that was very last minute and wonderful, but I congratulate you on taking this opportunity. So let's conclude the session. Sir, you'd like to add any comments?
Oh, thank you. Excellent, madam. Very good. If there is any question, no, then I think we can conclude.
Okay.
Thank you very
so
much.
let's conclude the session. Signing off, Ms. Pratibha, and it's a great opportunity for me to connect with you all here, and I feel this is my extended family. So I hope to stay in touch. I hope that everybody takes care of themselves. Thank you.
Declare this session is closed.